It was no longer a cautious circling, but a tight, firm embrace, tight enough for her to hear the sound of little fairies from all over the world knocking on a door in her heart. All the grandeur and lingering affection, the sweetness and agony, were performed by actors without lines on a stage with no audience, finally ending without a single round of applause. Xinyu had a miserable summer vacation, feeling suffocated as if wrapped in a layer of plastic wrap. First she lost her appetite and wasted away, then small swollen bumps broke out all over her body, coming and going without end. Her mother forbade her from scratching, and washing with sulfur soap for a week did nothing to help. You must have snuck off to some messy place again. Her mother snapped. Xinyu had signed up for the school summer volunteer group, visiting lonely elderly people at a nursing home with her classmates every week. She had only gone once before her mother found out and forbade her from going back. She had never told her mother the truth, only saying she was going to the library, but one day she left late, and a classmate called to rush her. By the time Xinyu ran out of her bedroom to answer, her mother was already on the phone in the living room. When did this happen? I knew nothing about it. No. Did you ask for parental permission? Zhang Xinyu is not going. The phone hung up. The TV blared with local news, the mayor cutting the ribbon on a newly built bridge. The first typhoon of the summer, set to land next week, and an elephant named Sang Mei going on a rampage at the zoo. Zhang Xinyu, her mother said, you kids going to a nursing home in the suburbs, so far away. Did you ever think about safety? What would I do if something happened to you? She switched the TV to a health channel, where the host was making bamboo fungus black chicken soup. Glancing at Xinyu still standing in the living room, she added, still daydreaming. You on the 6th floor already got her acceptance letter to Fudan University. Parents with such a promising child are truly blessed. Xinyu retreated to her room to study. Sitting hunched over her desk, those two words truly blessed weighed so heavily she could barely lift her head. Her English reading workbook lay open on the same page for ages. Many times the words were on the tip of her tongue. I have never compared you to other mothers. But she swallowed them back. Her mother was different from others. Comparing a single mother to others was a sin against conscience. Yet why did adults feel no guilt when comparing their children to one another? At dinner the next day, a clay pot sat on the table. Xinyu knew, without lifting the lid, that it held bamboo fungus black chicken soup. The heavy, nourishing aroma hung in the air. By the age of 18, Xinyu had never eaten out like her classmates. It's unsanitary. Mom's cooking is the most nutritious. She had been told since childhood. Nourishing soup and maternal love were both gilded words. When she was little, one of her essays was published in the newspaper. Her mother cut it out and showed it to neighbors every so often, annoying everyone in the building. Even in the elevator, when people casually asked how much the fresh long ANS costs per caddy, her mother would chime in, long ANS are wonderful. My daughter loves them most, they boost the brain. That's why her essays are so good. The neighbors would smile without replying. She learned silence too early from the meaning behind those smiles. After all, for better or worse, she and her mother were on the same side. When her mother made a fool of herself in public, Xinyu grew sensible and mature ahead of time, becoming her own disciplinarian. Her skirts always fell below her knees. No parties, no puppy love, no staying out late, no eating out. In the high school entrance exam, she was the only one in the neighborhood admitted to Yijian Memorial High School, and her mother was overjoyed for a long time. That joy vanished like Cinderella's pumpkin carriage at midnight, leaving her mother disoriented. On the eve of the college entrance exam, Xinyu was so nervous she vomited, performing poorly and barely scraping into an ordinary university just above the first-year cutoff. Meanwhile, Yu on the 6th floor, who had always kept a low profile, came home with an elegant Fudan acceptance letter. From then on, her mother's words turned harsh. She would bring American ginseng white fungus soup while scolding Xinyu for being unmotivated. Sometimes Xinyu could not understand. How could someone love and nitpick at the same time? Or was it because they loved that they became critical? As she served the soup, her mother said, You must retake the exam for another year. I refuse to believe you can't beat you on the 6th floor. Xinyu said nothing. From that day on, she lost her appetite again, and rashes broke out over her body one after another. Her mother took her to a dermatologist, who could not figure out the cause and prescribed a pile of ointment. At the checkout, her mother muttered, "Another 100 EU unwasted." Money isn't easy to earn, young lady. I told you not to go to that nursing home cleaning up there. Why aren't you this diligent at home? Chattering nonstop, Xinyu looked out the bus window, fighting back tears so her mother would not see. She had signed up for a cram school for ray takers, with a 10-day break before classes started. Xinyu asked to visit her grandmother in the countryside, and her mother surprisingly agreed. Grandma lived in a coastal fishing port, running a tiny shop at the end of the pier selling juice, cold drinks, fish balls and shrimp balls. It was not a tourist spot, but occasional visitors waiting for ferries to May Island stopped by. The shop was too small for 2 people, so Xinyu sat under a betel nut tree nearby helping Grandma peel green coconuts. The sky was cloudless, a deep clear blue. A fin blew directly at her, carrying the sharp scent of the sea. At noon the pier was deserted. Xinyu told Grandma to go home and dressed, then set up a small rattan chair in the shade. Drowsy as she was, she still placed a newspaper over her skirt to avoid exposing herself. The moment her palm touched the paper, she laughed softly, remembering how Yu once described her the kind of girl who waits for the green light, even when no cars are on the road. She had asked what that meant, but Yu hadn't answered. Now she understood. Thinking of Yu left her feeling empty. Lost in thought, she heard someone calling from the shop. Standing up, she saw a group of boys at the door, tanned to wheat skin, holding beach volleyballs. With the bold spirit of fishing port youths, one laughed, "Long time no see." Grandma turned into a young girl. Everyone but Xinyu chuckled kindly. They were around her age, yet the more open and carefree they were, the more flustered she felt, as if caught in a sudden midday rain with nowhere to hide. She could hide her mother's awkwardness with maturity, uphold her family's dignity with obedience. She could be independent at school, but she had never learned how to face a group of boys talking and laughing directly at her. The boy who joked ordered a bottle of guava juice. They called him cool, quiet, but fond of teasing others, wearing an apple minus green tea minus shirt. Few people could pull off such a tricky color, but Ink had chiseled features and deep minus set eyes that seemed ready to drown anyone who looked into them. Later Xinyu learned his maternal side had Chinese minus Portuguese heritage. His mother had been a famous beauty around here when she was young. The group was inconsistent, sometimes a loud crowd, sometimes nowhere to be seen. 2 days later Xinyu followed the locals and wore flip-flops around town, her pale toes slipping awkwardly on the soles. Grandma hated to tire her and told her to rest at home, but Xinyu refused, keeping Grandma company from dawn till dusk. The day she saw Ink again, her heart suddenly relaxed, a surge of inexplicable sadness washing over her. He stood staring at the shop sign for a long time, hands in pockets, unhurried. Xinyu plucked up courage. Guava juice? Iced honey lemon? Neither? Ye, be nice? We don't have it. Chocolate ice, strawberry ice are popular? Would you like those? We also have taro ice cream cones. I really only want Ray be nice. She turned to look at the shop, feeling its bareness for the first time. How could they not have read be nice? Grandma didn't care about losing the sale, shaking her palm on a sleeve fan and smiling. She said in the local dialect, "Young man, will you take our Xinyu out to play? She's been cooped up for too long." She pushed Xinyu gently. "Go on, make a friend and cheer up." Ink had ridden a bicycle, so he let Xinyu sit on the back. The bike rode along the pier into the alleys. Having grown up by the sea, he got teasing greetings from passers-by for carrying a girl on the back. Xinyu blushed fiercely. Thankfully Cal didn't see her. They reached a coconut tree slope, where the view opened up. Wind rushed into her cola, carrying the strong scent of some minus baked summer grass. Ink said, "Hold on tight." Xinyu didn't catch it. "What? We're going downhill. Hold on to me." This time she heard. The blush spread all the way to her earlobe, soft and burning. She pinched the hem of his T-shirt carefully with 2 fingers. When they rushed down the slope, her heart nearly leapt out of her chest, the world blurring into Monet's vivid colors. As the bike glided slowly to the breakwater, Xinyu turned around and saw hillsides covered in shimmering purplish blue Mexican petunia flowers. It was beautiful here. You look beautiful when you smile too. She froze, not knowing how to reply. Suddenly remembering how she had clung to ink on the downhill, she had both arms behind her back, like a primary school girl waiting to be scolded by her teacher. I'm sorry. Why you always say sorry? The first time I saw you, I thought this girl is silly and must say sorry all the time. He spoke seriously, and she was too embarrassed to argue back. They climbed up the breakwater. He told her the granite used to build, it was left over from years ago, having survived cross-century wars. The area had once been a colony. His great-grandmother was a woman from Cunning, brought here to settle by a Portuguese merchant. Nothing special followed. The merchant returned to his homeland years later and never came back. His great-grandmother refused to believe he had another wife, waiting by the sea her whole life. When her money ran out, she worked as a laundry woman to raise 2 children. She survived that chaotic era, and by Ink's generation, they were a native fishing folk. Except for slightly different features and hair color, they spoke the same dialect and ate the same food as the locals. Your great-grandmother didn't care about gossip. She was a brave woman, Xinyu said slowly after thinking. I'm from a single-parent family too. My mom is really weak. She's always scared people will look down on us. It had taken her years to admit this truth. The next day, Ink came to find Xinyu again. Hed borrowed a bicycle from somewhere and taught her to ride wobbly for an entire afternoon. Then said Hed take her somewhere nice. They rode around and around. Xinyu was terrified as a beginner, not paying attention to the road. When they arrived, she looked up and saw the coconut slope, laughing. What? It's the same place as yesterday. It's different. Dare you ride down by yourself? He walked behind her, close enough that she could smell his scent. A faint, milky fragrance. A boy smelling like milk. Before she and a smile faded, Ink wrapped her in his arms, on tiptoes. She only reached his chest. Behind her braid, she heard his heartbeat thumping, like a little fairy knocking on the door of a forest cabin. He held both her hands, teaching her carefully which brake controlled which wheel. Remember, don't let go, don't squeeze the front brake, and most importantly, don't panic. Keep the wheel axle straight ahead, even a tiny tilt is not allowed. I'm scared now. Don't be afraid. If you glide down, it'll treat you to the time-honored Red Bean Naisame Island. It's creamy and soft, boiled with tangerine peel, super delicious. Promise? Cross my heart. They stopped at the very top of the coconut slope, right in the middle. It felt as if the sky was on fire. The hottest day of the summer. Even the cicada noise is melting away. The ocean of the world burned together. Wind dancing on blue bonfires. Ink counted. 1, 2, 3. Close your eyes and let go of the bike seat. Xinyu rushed down like a shooting star through the sea of Mexican petunias. She had thought closing her eyes would make her miss the romantic Monet-colored flowers, but when she shut them, the entire slope appeared clearly in her mind, gliding purely by feeling. The hillside of petunias turned into evening stars, rustling softly among the clouds. 3. Her mother called that night, demanding Xinyu return to the city early the next morning. The first typhoon alert of the summer was about to be issued, and the ferry would close if she delayed. Xinyu held Grandma's old phone. Her mother's voice was so loud even customers in the shop could hear. Xinyu hurried under the betel nut tree, surprised to find herself frowning for the first time. I'm not going back. I want to stay here with Grandma. What do you mean? Thinking you're all grown up now. I'm already 18. Wonderful. Chong Xinyu. You're talking back now. If you're brave enough to talk back, be brave enough to get into a good university. I gave up so many chances to marry for you. And now you talk back to me? Don't come back if you won't. The phone was hung up roughly. She looked up at the betel-nut tree. Beautiful and green, swaying in the wind, drinking in the rain. Betel-nut trees didn't cry. She thought, how I wish I could be a tree in my next life. She curled herself into the trunk until Grandma stumbled out and wiped her ears. Grandma had heard everything, but she could say nothing since her son passed away. She had no right to demand more from her former daughter minus law. Xinyu buried her face in Grandma's shoulder, soaking her clothes with tears and snot. Grandma was her betel-nut tree, asking for nothing, while Xinyu wanted to give her everything. Xinyu finally packed her bag and went back to the city. Before leaving, she cleaned Grandma's house spotless. After the typhoon passed, she attended the cram school with expensive tutors her mother had hired. Xinyu sat in the last row, closed her eyes, and heard the rustling of Mexican petunias across the hillside the Chopin nocturne the fishing port had given her. She had always been told she could only have a phone in college, so she couldn't use her mother's. She borrowed a classmate's phone instead, calling Grandma, hesitating for a long time before asking for Ink's number. Grandma, I want to borrow his study materials. Yeah, the boy with the messy hair who rides a bike. You don't have it. No. I know. Next time he comes, can you write down his number for me? The second bell rang. The classmate hurried back to the room, scared of being caught by the tutor, and yanked the phone away from Xianhui's ear. She never heard Grandma's reply. Yes or no? Luckily, Grandma never turned her down. But no word came from Grandma. By late July, former classmates were buying supplies for college. When Xinyu ran into them on the street, she lowered her head and hurried past, afraid they'd ask which university she was attending. All she could stammer was retaking the exam. The air was heavy, with sudden downpours every few days. After typhoon season began, the neighborhood flooded constantly. Xinyu had to wade through water to class, her mood low. Inside the cram school, everyone felt gloomy, each with their own worries, no one asking why the others worried taking the exam. What? Yu's mother on the 6th floor saw Xianhui's bare calves and exclaimed to Zhang Xianhui's mother, asking if Xinyu had been bitten by some poisonous insect. Xinyu then noticed her skin again. The rashes lingered, fading with ointment only to break out again when the weather changed. She spoke less and less. Looking in the mirror, she saw rashes spreading all over her body. She dared not wear skirts, covering up in long sleeves and trousers even in midsummer. God forbid they spread to your face, that would ruin you, her mother said. She then asked, have you improved after over a month of cramming? Any tests? Halfway through, Xinyu burst into loud, uncontrollable sobbing. Her mother pulled a stack of test papers from her bag and laid them on the table, as if displaying her wounds. Her ranking had dropped from top 10 to 40-7 since starting the cram school. Xinyu could not study anymore. Zhang's mother was baffled, feeling her obedient daughter had been stolen overnight. It all started after the fishing port trip. She had even dared to talk back on the phone. The fishing port was full of idle country boys with half-hearted studies, but hers Inyu was a top student who fought her way into Yixian Memorial, a provincial key high school. A good daughter Shed raised with a lifetime of effort. Shed skimped on traveling and skincare, yet never denied her daughter nice things. She saw nothing wrong with herself. Shed even bought bamboo fungus costing over 300 yuan a bundle just to make soup for Xinyu, not tasting a drop herself. But forcing Xinyu to continue was useless. Her grades had plummeted. Retaking might not yield a better result. After thinking it over, Zhang's mother unwillingly bought Xinyu a new rolling suitcase and travel bag. Just in time for military training. On the eve of college, Xinyu asked to visit Grandma at the fishing port one last time. Still shaken by Xianhui's hysterical crying last time, her mother gritted her teeth. You can go to relax, but I'm coming with you. Xinyu fell silent immediately. The ferry tossed on the waves for half an hour before docking.